Hi again then guys, and welcome to of course another car review in the world of Forza 3, and technically this episode is something of a stand-in, because as you saw from the thumb, of course we're talking about the top secret version, the Formula Drift vehicle, or D1-GP version, of the S15 Silvia. Now, the reason why we're looking at this in Forza 3, and it's actually been a while since we looked at a car in Forza 3, is because I can't access it in Forza 4, because that is technically the last time, as far as I can recall, as far as I could find, that the car appeared in the franchise. But it was a unicorn car, and that's the issue, because I don't have that unicorn car in Forza 4, so we've come back to the third game so that we can at least talk about the car in question. Now, there's a very curious thing to me which happens, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this or not, but it happens not just in Forza, it happens in Gran Turismo as well, and I'm sure in other franchises also, wherein you have this weird little slice of vehicles occasionally in there, in the form of professional aftermarket, ready-made drift cars. This vehicle, for instance, you've got some in Gran Turismo, even GT Sport has the Turn 14 Falcon Subaru. These are ready-made drift machines. But here's the thing. Who actually uses those cars? Because yes, you do see some people use them, but by far, certainly from what I've seen, the vast, overwhelming even majority of the drift community in Gran Turismo, in Forza, wherever, prefer to use road cars that they've modified themselves. You know, Toyota 86s, FCRX7s, even something, from the US domestic market, whatever the case may be, they don't tend to go for something that somebody else has already tuned. That to me is curious, because if the intended or target audience of a drift car are the people who aren't using it that much, certainly not in comparison to other vehicles, well then who actually is going to end up using these? That is the interesting paradox that happens with a pre-made drift car within any racing game. Take Gran Turismo Sport for an example. The Turn 14 Subaru drift car is insanely powerful, it's a very capable drift machine, and yet 9 times out of 10, what does it tend to be used for? A straight line missile, because it's so powerful. That's interesting. So can you use a drift car as a race car? That is the real question that I want to answer in this episode, because having a drift car that's already set up to do just that could very easily be counterintuitive for getting around a track quickly, because by its nature, it's designed to do the exact opposite. To go around a track, in effect, as slowly as possible, but as stylishly as possible, and of course that's useless for a race. Now the good thing about most pre-made drift cars is they tend to have very, very good specs to work with. The Viper, for instance, in Forza Horizon 4, this car in Forza 3, 4, etc., the Subaru that I mentioned in Gran Turismo, they are very, very powerful machines. And even though this particular Silvia is not a 4-figure, horsepower car like those are, it certainly isn't underpowered. It's a 2.2 litre engine, it's got 534 horsepower stock, 365 pound-feet of torque. It is not heavy at all, of course, rear-wheel drive, 1160 kilos, even the category is only S-Class, 648 PI points, and the price is not that crazy. It's 250 grand, which, yeah, 6 figures for a JDM car is quite steep, but of course it is pre-tuned, it is a competition vehicle of sorts, so to have a race car kind of price isn't too surprising. The question is though, can you use it to race with? Well, I would say yes and no. The reason why I would say yes is because it has everything you could realistically need to potentially make a really good circuit car. Something akin to kind of a time attack style machine. And in fact, once again in Gran Turismo Sport, I actually turned my Subaru BRZ into just that. A less powerful time attack version on the Nürburgring. And it was really good for that. Those kind of circumstances are where a car like this can really become, as I said, in effect like a time attack style machine. In fact, the differences between time attack cars and Formula Drift cars are fairly minimal. They look kind of the same, they have similar numbers. Compare this, for instance, to the HKS Mitsubishi Evo time attack car. You could quite easily imagine that being a drift machine. It kind of looks like one already. Likewise, you could easily see this car flying around Tsukuba, breaking a lap record of some kind. It's just got that kind of look and vibe to it. Now, all of this so far seems pretty positive. So why did I say yes and no to can this be a competition car? Well, the reason why I said no is actually because it's not really worth it. And that sounds like a weird response or a weird reason, but it really is the case. Can you tune this car to be good? Yes, if you want to, but it's not the purpose of the car, and it's not really any better at doing that job than a normal race car would be. So you could use it if you want to, it's just kind of unnecessary. Now, to me, that's not really a disadvantage, that's just the cold hard fact. For me, for instance, one of my go-to drift cars in the Forza franchise is a NASCAR. It's not what it's intended for though. That doesn't make it bad. So like I said, the reason why I would say no is because you're not going to take this out on a track and suddenly destroy every race car known to man. But what I am saying is if you want to try your hand at something like that, taking on, like GT4 level kind of race cars, maybe some GT3s, then give it a try. Because it's got the power, the weight is low, so if the game allows you basically to use it in an event, then sure, give it a try. But overall, that's it for my thoughts. Tell me yours down below, and of course, stick around on the channel for more Forza content, both in the older and the newer games. And until next time, I'll see you then, but for now, as always, thanks for watching.